Welcome to another fantastic edition of our series about Aviator from OpenText, and today's focus will be all about DevOps Aviator. It's always a pleasure to work with my two colleagues who are joining me on today's session, Kelly and Ramesh, the real stars of today's session. We're going to hear a lot more from them shortly, but first, let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda. Today, we're going to dive into the current state of Aviator relevant to the DevOps cloud. We'll offer a single view of everything we have in DevOps Aviator. Next, we'll discuss common frequently asked questions. And no matter what we are prepared to address there, keep in mind that those questions, your feedback, we want you to keep that coming today and after today. But we'll look forward to covering some FAQs there. Next, we're going to show you at least 3 features of Aviator that maybe you haven't seen before. And finally, we'll go ahead and share how you can apply everything I just mentioned toward maximizing return on investment and return on experience for your organization. By the end of today's presentation, you'll have a clear understanding of how OpenText and DevOps Aviator can really help your team achieve new levels of efficiency, quality, and speed in your software delivery process. Now, imagine a world where software delivery is faster, more efficient, and less error-prone, a world where AI empowers developers and DevOps teams to achieve unprecedented levels of productivity and innovation. That world's here, and it's powered by OpenText DevOps Aviator. And as I said, in this presentation, we're going to explore that. We're going to do a deep dive. How is AI revolutionizing app delivery? How can we enable teams to cut software delivery time up to 60%? We'll delve into the cutting-edge AI technologies, the tools that are helping to drive this transformation, and let's go ahead and embark on this journey together. I'm going to turn things over to Kelly, who's going to, as I said, tell you a lot more. Kelly, over to you.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here with both of you as well. I'm imagining the world you just described. I like that a lot. That sounds good. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in. First, I want to give you just a quick, singular view of what we have in DevOps Cloud, AI and Aviator today, right now. So to do that, just a couple thoughts. If you don't know already how deep and wide our capability is, I'm going to show you something. Now you know. It's kind of an eye chart. And this is not all inclusive of it, but this is really, everything that the picture that Mike just painted for you, these are the features that those thoughts and capabilities translate into. There's just so much capability, and it's delivered through a spectrum of features, really. So obviously, we are not going to talk about all these today. We're not going to demo all of them. We would be here for much longer than 30 minutes. So we're going to give you just a touch and talk about some of these as we go through. So to save you, reading that, let me just boil it down for you. All these features that you see, plus many others, they're really all geared toward faster time to market, time to resolution, being quicker to market, delivering higher value, obviously, less waste, less cost, less risk. And, risk in this case can encompass a lot of things. Quality, for example, compliance, security, budget overruns. There's no shortage of types of risks, and they're all geared toward helping with that. And all of this while trying to make it easier to create and actually manage program assets. And of course, to foster better collaboration across your teams, that what we've run into very often have a very wide variety of skill sets in your team. So at the end of the day, these things all add up to time, money, and team satisfaction in a lot of ways. All right, so that was the very quick singular view of some of the features we have today in DevOps Aviator. Now I want to go to the next segment with my friend and colleague Ramesh. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Kelly. How are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here with you. So we're talking about, what to cover in here. And, we meet with a lot of customers, a lot of organizations at events. This is how we spend our day in and day out. And we were reflecting on frequently asked questions we get. And so we thought it would be beneficial, and we found it's beneficial to share those questions and conversations that are being had, along with the answers, of course. Kind of think of this as the asking for a friend segment. So that's what Ramesh and I are going to jump into next. We're going to share a few of those frequently asked questions and, maybe provide some food for thought. So we'll get started. I want to take the first one, Ramesh, if that's okay.
Sure, please go ahead.
All right, so I've hidden the name of the innocent because they were just asking for a friend, but we get this question all the time. So which type of AI is implemented by OpenText DevOps solutions? Meaning, let's take it a step further. What type of AI are you actually using for all these features? Well, if we go back to the eye chart slide I gave you, this big list of different things that we can do already in our solution stack, we'll use this kind of as a framework. Let me break it down. There are 3 different types, if generally speaking. The first type is proprietary AI. This is not something new to our solution, but it's something we continue to evolve. And it's picking up speed. I would say it's a good type of a snowball. So highlighted in green, you can see some types of things where we're using our own proprietary AI. Feature prediction, delivery times, root cause analysis, flow efficiency trends, all really valuable insight type capabilities that help you make predictive measures, adjust accordingly. These are all using our own proprietary AI. The next type is functional testing AI, if you want to think of it that way, a type of organic AI as well. Again, we've had this in our solution, but again, it's picking up speed and capabilities. This mostly is related in the area of our functional testing, test automation. So AI object detection, being able to create test scripts that are codeless. Anybody could read them. It's very English-like. Generating test scripts, being able to do more shift-left testing with the creation of test automation for mockups. So before the application is developed, being able to create test cases. So these are things using our functional testing AI. And the third type is, I think what people, when they loosely say AI, a lot of times the buzz is Gen AI, and that's obviously part of our solution as well. So that's any places where we're using, kind of rule of thumb, where we're using the LLM. So Smart Assistant, for example, which you're going to see today. Being able to generate tests from videos, projecting a little bit what you'll see in a little bit, suggesting KPIs, identifying missing aspects. All these types of things use and employ an LLM along with the context providers that you already have in the solution. So those are the 3 general types of AI that we've got right now today. All right, so that's one question down. I want to ask you the next question, Ramesh. Kind of a build onto that, and everybody asks this question. It's a really good question. It kind of tees us up, but it's a very valid one. How is DevOps Aviator better or different than me just opening a browser, opening a prompt to some the LLM du jour AI engine and asking it a question? Why wouldn't I just do that instead?
Absolutely, it's a great question, Kelly. I get this also from majority of the customers. Can we use generic ALM, or probably we can build one? But let's look at what are some of key differentiators that we have within OpenText DevOps Cloud AI and Aviator. So for any AI initiative, we all know that data set is the prerequisite. Without data, there cannot be any AI from there. So for that, if you look into OpenText DevOps Cloud, we have a data set. We have worked with the data set for more than 2 decades, handling complex, large, structured and unstructured data in a DevOps delivery platform, right? Software delivery platform, application lifecycle management. We have a proven leader in that. So we have the data set available to support that kind of data set. We have the key differentiators as part of it. So given that foundation, if you look into our DevOps ecosystem, there are more than tens of solutions available within our customer environment in the DevOps tool chain. So having said that, there is an option available where I can say, let us dump all these DevOps tool data into a centralized data lake where I can mine the data for my AI initiative. So that's one option. But think about the cost, time and effort, and the ESG impact it would make. On top of it, it becomes stale. At the best case scenario for a large enterprise, you may be updating the data lake every day if we can, and that means that data is stale. But what if DevOps Cloud Aviator can support us by bringing in those metadata from all these different solutions using synchronization? That way you have the data available for your AI needs, right? That is also possible. There's another key differentiator from DevOps Aviator. Then once I have the data available, what about the trusted data, right? I want to make sure that it is the quality, security, and privacy are in place. So let me give an example about data privacy. Let us imagine that I'm a contractor working for a large corporation who has to go through regulations or compliance requirements. And by default, I should not see any production defects, for example. In this case, if AI can bring in the data that I should not see, then there is a problem with the compliance. So data privacy becomes an important, and that is covered with our DevOps Cloud Aviator. So that is trusted data is in place. Now, having all this information from a data perspective, then think about either using generative LLM or maybe building your own, starting from scratch, including developing the model and then training the model, fine-tuning the model. It takes a lot of time and effort. I'm not sure even that will get up to speed what you're looking for from a business perspective. That's where, again, our DevOps Aviator will come into play, where it is rightfully embedded within the platform. What that means is it's very simple and easy to start working with, having an interactive generic AI prompt capability, and that is a quick win for the business. So these are the 4 key differentiators we have seen, and we could see how this all flow together in a more of an architectural diagram. So when we talk about DevOps data, we are talking about all the structured data, starting from strategy, which is a portfolio management, agile management, quality management, functional, and so on, all the way to the operations. You want to have this complete data for you to go and leverage that information for your AI. And for those set of modules or entities, you may have some attachments to it, images, videos, and documents. You would like to leverage that as well. So that's a data set. As I talked about earlier, the integrations piece or data access piece from multiple DevOps toolchain solutions, we can bring this used in synchronization, or in worst case scenario, we can bring it to REST API, relevant information that is important. And that way we have the data set along with the data access to all those resources. Once you have it, then the engines come into play, database and analytics engine. So what it does, it allows you not only to make sure it is quality data, but also it makes sure you can leverage it for bringing in insights for your business tradition, whether it could be metrics, analysis, graphs, the out-of-the-box ones, or leveraging your classical AI that Kelly talked about earlier, where you can start using them for root cause analysis, prediction, and so on. So this helps you to get the insights that you need for your businesses. Now, getting into the generic AI portion of it, Kelly talked about 3 types of AI. So one of them is the latest being generic AI. So we can leverage LLM and use that data for unlocking and maximizing the business value. We can use it for planning. We can use it for governance and visibility and smart assistance. With that, we can increase revenue, reduce cost, and possibly you can also reduce the mean time to deliver to your business, and finally enhancing the user experience that Michael talked about earlier. So all these key differentiators help us to achieve the business value very quickly for our customers. So this is another view to look at, what are the different modules we have. On the bottom, you have the services and the data layer, the modules on the middle, then you go into the insights and the AI bottom up, you would see those key differentiators coming in. Hope that makes sense. Rather than building or using a generic LLM or maybe building your own, it makes sense to leverage DevOps Cloud Aviator for your business needs.
That definitely helped. Can I ask a follow-on to that? The next
Sure.
FAQ? All
Yes.
right. All right. So I get this one a lot. I'm guessing you do too?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. For a variety of reasons, which is probably a whole other topic, right? Our company doesn't allow data to be stored in the LLM for, again, lots of different reasons. What can we do? What can we get out of this? Or is it just a dead end at this point?
Yeah, exactly. So when we talk about LLM, there is always a question about data security, data privacy, and how you are meeting them, and where the data is stored, how it is being used, etc. So to illustrate that, I'm going to bring up the architecture diagram to show for the classical AI that we have inbuilt that Kelly talked about before. It's simple where the data resides within our data center. So here you see everything is within the data delivery platform server, and the classical AI uses that internally. But when it comes to Gen AI, we have a partnership with Google Gemini. So with that partnership, this is a partnership that exclusive in the sense we are not passing on the data in the sense that data is not being stored at Google Gemini. So if you look at the model here, this is a RAG model. I believe everyone is familiar with this by now with the Gen AI. So we are passing on the user questions along with the prompt to Google Gemini to provide an interactive response back with the answer. While doing so, the data is not stored. Data is not collected. It's not used for training or for auditing. That means you are protected, that you are compliant in the perspective that data is not being compromised at any point. We're just using Gemini for LLM purposes to bring in the right answer back into the user interface, right? So this way, the data is protected using the Gemini platform. Hope that answers your question.
Excellent, yes.
Okay. Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So why the customers have to choose OpenText as a partner, given that there are so many vendors in the market, or I would say partner is more important than vendor, but why do you think so OpenText is a good partner?
Yep, this is a good question. It goes along the lines of the saying, with great power comes great responsibility, I guess. And we do get this one a lot as more organizations are getting, educated on the possibilities out there, the risk, the reward, how they might leverage it. They're starting to look at this question because it's not necessarily something that you want to decide on for today. It's a journey you're going to go on, and you want to be strategic in who you do that with. So I want to step into, it goes in line with what you just talked about, Ramesh, and how data is handled, how things are managed. We use some guiding principles for how we design, implement, and manage AI across the board. And it comes back to our AI ethics in action. But there's technical aspects of this, right? So you can put it really into 3 buckets. One is user control. We want you to be able to always turn off and turn on where AI is available and to who, and also to know which content is AI. Make no mistake that this came from Kelly or this came from Aviator, right? So that you know the context for that. The second sort of bucket of how we manage this and proceed going forward with all these at the forefront of that, safe content. The last thing that you want to do is introduce something into your organization that could, allow for any sort of abuse or unethical behavior, anything unsafe. Prevention of hallucinations, it even is a technical aspect of that, because part of what in DevOps Aviator we provide is, because we have these context providers, this platform of your data, that diminishes that greatly, because it's not just a random question without context. So that's a big part of how we manage, and the quality of what you're getting out of Aviator. And finally, data protection, the privacy of the data. This is huge for companies. Audit trail. Many of our customers, many of you probably on this event today, have a variety of types of compliance and audit that you need. And so all these aspects go into it. So again, these are our guiding principles and how we will go forward, what your expectation can be of that and be assured of.
Excellent.
All right, so let's get into the next segment. We've talked about what DevOps Aviator is made up of right now, feature-wise, capabilities. We've also talked through, the conversations we're having with our customers, with other organizations on the topic of AI. But let's get into looking at some of the details. We promised we'd show you a little bit. Obviously, we're not going to spend time to go through all these. We'd be here all day, but I want to pick out a couple of features maybe you haven't seen before today. All right, so let me set this up for you. Ramesh, you didn't know this about me. I actually work for a bank. I've been moonlighting. Who would have known? For the demo, I work for a bank. I work for a banking company in their IT department, and we use the OpenText software delivery platform. And what I want to show today is the idea that we just got a request that came in from upstream from our strategic portfolio team, who does the analysis on features and cost and planning and all that to keep us on track. And as it turns out, our mobile banking customers were getting a lot of feedback that they would love to have an integration with Apple Wallet. So they want to be able to put our Advantage banking credit card into their Apple Wallet. Great. So that's where we're going to pick up. We're going to look at a couple new power actions available in Aviator. All right, so let's kick this off. I'm taking you to work with me today.
Mhm.
See this load up in here. All right, so I've just logged into our software delivery platform. I'm going to come down to our backlog to add this new feature in. Now, sometimes these are going to come in, be communicated automatically with lots of details. I'm going to come in and add it directly to our mobile banking Epic. So I'm just going to say add a new feature, Apple Wallet integration. I'll get this added in. And I'm going to say this is related to our integrations. So for the sake of a demo, I've got nothing, right? They gave me a name. This is the feature. All right. So I want to go see my new best friend, Ramesh, also my best friend at work, but Aviator, Smart Assistant, also pretty tight with me. So I come in, I'd say, could you suggest a description? I mean, what do banking consumers in the world expect from an Apple Wallet integration? And obviously, I have an idea of that. I'm a banking customer, but you know, put it into a descriptive way so that I can put together the proper documentation and save some time here. All right, so I'll put in the details of what I'm searching for. Again, this along with the context of what it knows about us from a strategic aspect, from our planning aspects, our core banking system program, what are we looking for? So it gives me a description, run through this. This looks exactly like what we need. So let me put this into the description as a starting point. Of course, we can tweak this if needed. And you can see the annotation. This came from AI. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now, while we're on the topic, the quicker I can get this, you know, decomposed into some user stories and tasks, the quicker we get this into the development pipeline. So let me come back to my Smart Assistant friend here and say, hey, could you generate user stories? This is one of our new power actions. So ask any specifics, anything I should follow. And you can see it's generated several user stories, and I can add more or tweak what I'm asking for. As you can see, well-formulated, detailed user stories for this particular feature, given what it knows about our system. And I'm going to add those in. So I've already added 3 user stories with their descriptions and details. While we're on a roll, though, could you also go ahead and generate tests for this? That would be great, right? I just put in this feature, and already I've got user stories, technical documentation around this. I can do a you know, assess the spec, make sure we're covered. Here I've got tests that it's recommended, what I need to validate. So again, I can choose all of these. I can choose some of them. I can ask for a new batch. It's very flexible, but saving me an immense amount of time, especially when you look at the fact that we probably have hundreds of features and thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of tests. So big savings. Another new power feature we have is around creating items from video. So I just logged in today to our Advantage online banking site to test out the capability of adding a new user, like signing up a new user. And I see that it gives me an error right when I get to the site before I can even put in my information, saying I'm missing required fields. That definitely shouldn't happen. So in this case, what I can do is I can create a new defect. And like a lot of us do, either as end users, consumers of an application, or even, you know, in the quality department, I'm just going to grab a quick video of what's happening on the screen, and I'll attach it. I'll send it over to R&D and say, here's what happened. Here you can see what occurred. All I have to do is attach that video, and it will generate the actual reproduction steps for that defect automatically. No time spent assessing it, no error-prone effort in you know, watching the video, pausing, writing it down. It creates it for me. I can do the exact same thing with a test. So if we have a new test case, a new scenario we'd like to validate, I can just take a video, collect a video from an end user, attach it, and it will document and create the actual test cases for me. That could be manual or become automated. All right. Hopefully that was a good, very tiny peek of some of the new capabilities, new power actions that you'll see today. And again, happy to show a lot more, but just to give you some insight into what we've got coming. All right, so Ramesh, this is what they came for. How do I take all this greatness, right? We just talked about what's in Aviator today. Excuse me.
Yeah.
What's in Aviator today? We talked about conversations that are being had, things that should be considered when looking to implement AI, little tiny sneak peek of some of the new capabilities. How do I match this to our business to actually get value out of it? How do I affect the bottom line with this capability? So I think we'll give you 4 of those today, 4 ideas for how to maximize business value with these features. All right, So I'll go first since I've got the pointer right now. We'll start here. One way is to significantly reduce test cycles. Excuse me. Using AI-infused best-in-class testing tools, it can really shrink the time spent on testing. And testing, remember, is comprised of test planning, design, creation, maintenance, execution, defect reporting, and analysis. So using these AI capabilities in the solution can save an immense amount of time. For example, we've got a bank in Chile. They've seen a 75% increase in their speed for test execution. Also, a university in the UK, actually, we were just talking with, brought down dramatically over 70% reduction in testing costs. I read this article recently, Ramesh. Statistics shows, to quote from it, especially at the enterprise level, that testing is the primary source of delivery delays, which is problematic, right? And it was around testing cycles. And so the numbers they gave, this was from the Forbes Technology Council, the numbers they gave were overall 23 to 35% of the IT spend is on testing, and 23 days average testing cycle, again, enterprise level. But that's a lot of days in a world of technology where we don't measure things in days for the most part, right? We like seconds and minutes and maybe a day or two, but days, that's almost a month. So this is huge. Being able to shrink the time on those testing activities, along with leveraging earlier testing, more resilient assets with AI object recognition, all those things can significantly knock down your time and investment in those aspects. So that's one way to maximize that value. Take the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we are trying to show here what is the value of this AI DevOps Cloud Aviator. So the second aspect, if you look into it, always if you look at the AI, you're talking about improving the productivity. How do you enhance the user experience? Now let's take a look at a couple of examples that normally a quality engineer will be spending time on. For example, analyzing the related defects. If the defect is related to other defects, especially in an integrated release, how do you analyze that related defects for a given feature and then probably understanding the root cause? So if AI can help me, that means I can reduction in time and spend on analyzing it. What about gaps in test coverage? Probably I have a comprehensive test coverage, but there may be some gaps that I missed out. If I can leverage AI and say, show me the gaps here, probably I'm missing some cross-browser testing or maybe security testing as part of my test coverage. So it can identify based on the feature and the test cases along with that and show me, okay, these are the gaps I have. And another one would be summarization. So let us say I'm working on a feature and there are 10 different user stories, and I would like to get a quick view on where the user story stands right now. Possibly I can get a report, or I can ask the AI to give a summarization, which can give me not only the status, but also the owner of it. All these put together reduces the time taken in not only analyzing and summarizing, but also even making a decision to move forward with the business. That means I have more time available for spending time on innovation cycles, thereby improving further productivity for my own team as well as for the organization. Another example I would say for maximizing the value, think about we are in the lower environment before going into production. And as part of the CI pipeline run, every day I've seen organizations or large enterprises running thousands and thousands of test cases or automated tests as part of the pipeline. Now, when you run those build, obviously with so many things going on, there will be hundreds of test failures that may happen as part of the pipeline. Now, going through each one of them, let's say I'm running 5,000 test cases and then maybe 200 tests failed in that last pipeline run for whatever reason, I may need to spend time on analyzing those failures. What if AI can come to my rescue and say, these are the possible failures and these are the type of failures that have happened, whether it could be a database failure or network failure based on the error messages. And then it can group for me, thereby I can avoid spending more time. And with the test clustering, if there are 50 failures, test case failures that are related to databases, then fixing one of them, all the 49 I don't need to even look at it because it can go and cluster that. Risk analysis is another one that our customers are leveraging, where it can identify hotspots within the code and say, these are the hotspots in the code where there are more number of commits that are getting failed, from a test case perspective, or critical defects associated with it. If AI can point out to that, then I can focus my development on those areas. So far we talked about only on the analyzing the problem. What about resolution? If AI can help me, DevOps Cloud Aviator AI can go with me and say, okay, based on the error message, I could say that this is or maybe the function that I have defined in my test case, automated test can go and say, these are the possible application modules. It can prioritize and show me this is a credit card issue related, there should be a higher business priority. So grouping those failures based on the business priority helps me to address those quickly. And then it can also recommend based on the commit messages, it can say these are the possible developers who might have caused the problem in first place, right? Not to blame the developers there, but at least reduce the time taken in terms of going through a war zone. So these are some of the problems and resolutions that we can fix quickly. That means you're saving cost as well as delivering faster to the business. So this is another maximizing the business value. Now, coming to the reduced cost and increased revenue, we have seen from our statistics from Gartner, 80% of the IT projects are failing because because of overruns, missed deadlines, and so on. So how do we minimize that? Is there any way we can predict the delivery of timeline based on the previous history? That's where DevOps, again, Cloud Aviator come into play. Based on the previous performance, it can go and identify what would be the what would be the delivery timeline. And if there are slippage, it can identify the risk early enough to say, you need additional resources on these areas where you want to make sure there are enough test coverages or enough resources to handle those. So this predictable planning will help to streamline your software delivery, but also make sure you deliver on time to the business. Now, all this maximum business value, we are not delivering an AI that is more of a shiny object that you have in the showing all the different use cases, but it is important it delivers the business value. So that's the value bring in from DevOps Aviator Cloud. So with that, I will turn it over to Kelly for the next segment.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so after what we've seen today, the next question is now what? So you've watched this. These are the features, the gains, hard numbers that we've seen organizations get out of this and the benefits. What can you do? So first of all, AI has really moved from something that was much more nascent, kind of a novel concept, quickly to something with real returns, bottom line returns. And companies that you in our audience today work with, and companies that you compete against, are really starting to take advantage of what it has to offer and transforming those into competitive gains. So at this point, there's a cost of doing nothing, and it's good to reflect on what that cost is. Where could those gains be made? Where are you not making those gains by not implementing it? So that's one thing to look at, is your overall life cycle. Next is know that there are lots of on-ramps. Whether you're looking at AI-powered planning aspects of this, governance and visibility, AI-enhanced testing, or the Smart Assistant, there are lots of different ways to bring these capabilities into the fold for your team. And you don't have to start with all of them. You certainly can, but there are a lot of easy ways to start rolling into this without, stopping. It's a mid-flight addition that you can certainly make. Next is imagine the possibilities. We are aware of the risks. We are aware of the rewards, and certainly cognizant of those things, like we talked about the open text solution and guiding principles and how we manage that. You can start now thinking about, what could this do for us, right? If you picture your organization a few months from now or a year from now, where could we be? How could things be different than they are now? Improved? What could I know? What could we have learned? How could I have gone from it, me finding this, me writing this, to me requesting things and having this interactive experience where the way I do work is different and better and more efficient, myself and my team? The possibilities are kind of endless, I think. And above all, reach out to us. Ramesh and I, we love doing this. There's a whole team of Ramesh and I's out in the world that we all work together. We want to hear from you. We love doing this. So reach out and ask questions. Obviously there's a lot of commonality between different organizations, but there's also a lot of differences and uniqueness and your business drivers and motivators and needs. So, we want to talk to you individually to figure out where these things might help and answer your questions. So we'd love to hear from you. With that, I will say, Ramesh, it was wonderful doing this with you here today. It's been a while. Hope we get to do it again soon. And Mike, you as well. Let me hand it over to you now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kelly. Thank you, Ramesh. What a great session, as always. Wonderful to hear what both of you have to speak about today. To everybody that joined us, thank you once again for your time and attention. If there are any questions from the group, we will indeed follow up via email. Don't forget, we have more installments of this great Aviator series still to come. Go ahead and catch up on prior episodes if you'd like. If you've not seen them, they are now available on demand. Register for any episodes that are still to come. And we're going to continue to do deep dives into many of these great Aviator solutions and the use cases that match these wonderful technologies that we have from OpenText. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.